Hey guys, what's going on? I wanted to do a little video talking about the cold weather starting issues that some of us have had with our 22 KLRs. And I want to start the video by saying I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a technician, I don't work for Kawasaki. This is just information that I've put together for my own knowledge, passing it on to you on my opinion on what we're seeing, what's going on, and maybe what you should or shouldn't do. So use this for informational purposes only, maybe educational to a small degree, or entertainment value only. Take it however you want, but I am in no part to take responsibility for my thoughts on what I'm about to say. So, looking online, talking to my dealer, talking to other people that have the same issue through their information coming through Kawasaki, this problem seems to be a starting compression issue. The engine does not have enough starting compression to fire up when the weather's cold. Why is it do it when it's cold versus when it's not cold? I'll get into that a little bit later in the video. But so here's the information that I've gathered. So according to the service manual in Kawasaki, this bike needs a starting compression of between 66 and 108. That is straight out of the service manual. That's what the spec is. Running compression is a completely different thing. I believe running compression on these is probably in the 170 to 190 psi range, but we're just talking about starting compression. Why is there two different compression specs? Because these bikes have a compression relief valve that actuates when you're turning the starter over at low RPMs. Some people call them the clacker, the Kawasaki automatic compression relief valve. So what that does is while you're starting your bike, I think it's under 650 revolutions per minute, there's a little mechanical actuator that opens up one of the exhaust valves to release compression to allow your starter to turn the engine over under reduced compression. Why do you need this? Because the lightweight starting systems on these bikes cannot turn an engine over at 180 psi. It just wouldn't be physically possible without gear reductions, bigger batteries, bigger starters. So that's why they do that. So other people that have had this same problem that I have, you may have seen my video the other day where I tried to start a bike at 12 degrees and it would not fire over. Mine seems to be doing it around the low 20 range. So 20 degrees, it won't start. Below that, it won't start. 25, sometimes it will start, sometimes it won't. Above that, it's firing up every time. So mine is not severe, but other people like Trevor Staples on the page, his was a little more severe than that. His will not start below 35. So if you have not seen his post, here are the numbers that he was seeing. His bike would not start below 35. Took it to the dealer. They did a compression check. His compression was 45, way lower than the 66 minimum that Kawasaki says it needs. So they did a valve adjustment on his, and they got it up to 55, still lower than recommended compression for starting. Kawasaki ended up either replacing his exhaust cam or modifying his exhaust cam and the clacker or the relief valve. Got his up to 95 psi. His is repaired. His is fixed. Makes sense. Get the recommended spec up to where it's supposed to be. Everything works fine. So compression seems to be the key. Why do we have low compression when it's cold out? Well, from my research, several factors. One, cold oil. We're running a 10 weight oil, which probably really isn't recommended for temperatures below 20 degrees ish. So low viscosity or thicker viscosity of oil cannot seal up piston rings and and will reduce your compression just on the cylinder and piston alone. Other thing is just metal contracts and expands with heat and cold. So let's just say your piston is contracting, your cylinder wall has not. You're going to lose compression that way. If your valve clearances get tighter due to cold, due to metal contraction, you're going to lose compression that way. So let's say if it's a 70-degree day, your motor could have, 80 pounds of starting compression. On a cold day, it might only have 60 pounds of starting compression. So all those factors will play in and make your compression lower. What can help on this? Obviously, you can run a lighter weight winter oil when you know you live in a colder climate, like a 540 or whatever. I mean, again, don't do what you will with your bike. I might try that if it were mine and I live in a colder environment and I needed my bike to start, but I would stick with Kawasaki recommended oil weight as a general rule of thumb. You can adjust the valves to the loose side of their spec. That's obviously one of the fixes that they did with Trevor's bike. It did not completely fix it, but it did make an improvement. But maybe if your bike has 60 pounds of starting compression, adjusting the valves will get it up to that 66 or above range, and that could be the fix for your bike. All these the tolerances are all over on these bikes. I mean, let's admit it, they're built on an assembly line in some foreign country. They have a spec. They try to stick with those specs, but they're going to be all over the place. Anybody that works in manufacturing knows one product is never exactly like the one that came off before or after it. I just made some notes here. I'm just looking down through them. So yeah, like I said, y'all seen my video the other day where mine is having this cold start issue. Like I said, mine's below the 20-degree mark. I called my dealer. They said to bring it in for a compression check. They talked to Kawasaki. That seems to be, what is going to be the fix is to fix the compression issues. I don't think it's fueling. I don't think it's throttle position. I don't think it's cold crank amps, because I've tried I haven't tried fueling. I've tried hooking up jump pack. That didn't make a difference. I tried the 2-3 short revolutions of the motor, short burst, then try to start it afterwards. That did not fix it, or did not help it. I wait for the fuel injection light to go off. I've tried all the tricks. I mean, like I said, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a tech, but I'm not a dummy either. Been around the block, I work on my own stuff. So I've tried all the little tricks. It seems to be a compression issue. Will fueling help it? Probably would, but I don't think that's the underlying cause. So like I said, I talked to the dealer. He wants me to bring it in for a compression check. I probably will eventually, but my bike only has 230 miles on it. Things are not worn in yet. I'm not past the break-in point. So I could take it in. They could adjust the start compression on it, and within 1,000 miles, it could be off again. So I'm going to wait to take mine in, maybe at the 1,000-mile mark, have them check the compression. I might even check it myself. I do believe I have a compression checker out in the garage, and I might just throw it on there one day myself. Am I worried about it? No. It has nothing to do with your running compression. It is a completely different beast, if you want to call it that. Once it starts, that has nothing to do with that compression relief valve. It locks out of the way. Centrifugal force throws these weights out, and the compression relief valve doesn't even do anything once the engine is rotating above a certain RPM. So my thoughts are, I live in a cold climate in the wintertime. I don't plan on riding my bike when it's that cold. My only concern about fixing it was if I'm mid-trip someplace and maybe temperatures dropped really cold overnight and I need to start my bike the next morning. I was a little concerned about that. But that's still going to be a almost never happens scenario for me. I think in all my 100,000 miles of travel on two wheels over the years, I've only had one occurrence to where it was below freezing in the morning when I left for a trip. So it's almost a non-issue. I would like to see about getting it within the spec range if it is out of spec, but I'm not concerned about doing it right now. So if your bike's cold starting on the temperatures you need it to start, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're a type of guy that just wants things to work because they should, you could get it, maybe have your dealer look into it, but don't be concerned. It's not gonna hurt anything. Running wise, my bike runs fine. Once it's started, I will tell you this, that if you are having the cold start issue and you're doing what you seen in my video the other day, just constantly cranking without it firing, it is putting gas down the cylinder of your bike and washing out your rings and stuff. I changed my oil in mine last night because I was concerned about gas washing down the cylinder. And I will tell you, with the maybe half a dozen times I tried to start mine that way, there was some fuel in the oil. It wasn't drastic, it wasn't terrible, but there was some floating fuel in the oil. I changed it. It probably would have been fine once I went out for a ride and it burned itself off, but I feel better knowing it's out of there. So 200 miles I did an oil change on my new bike. I feel better about it. Other than that, nothing out of the ordinary in the filter during the oil change. Just some little paint specs from where they use a paint marker when they mark stuff at the factory when things are built. A little bit of Loctite sealant, different colored things in the filter, but no metal, no debris, nothing to worry about. So that's it, guys. I'm going to cut this off so it's not too short or too long, but that's where we're at with this. It seems to be a compression issue. If you're not going to ride when it's cold, I would not let it concern you. If you'd like to get it fixed just because it should work, yeah, great. Talk to your dealer. They should be able to get a hold of Kawasaki. We're not the first people that let them know this. They'll tell your dealer to check compression. If that compression is below 66 on starting compression, that's where the problem lies, in my opinion. Also, I will add, I own 3 bikes. I got a KLR, my wife's Indian Scout, and I have a Concourse 1400. That morning it was 12 degrees out. I tried to start all 3 bikes. My Concourse, it struggled. It didn't want to start, but after about the 3rd or 4th attempt, she fired up. My wife's Indian Scout did not want to start. It actually started harder than the KLR did. So take that for what it's worth. These bikes just aren't meant to start when it's in the teens, low 20 or below 20. They just don't like it. They're not designed that way. Do I think there's something wrong with my wife's Indian Scout? No. It's just the nature of the beast. Thick oil in that thing, 15W50 or whatever it is that bike takes. The Concourse, I do keep the 540 in it, and it started up. So again, getting back to that little bit of a thinner winter weight oil fix, maybe that's the key for a few of you guys that just have a little bit of a problem, not a major problem. So that's it. Those are my thoughts. That's my opinions. Maybe I help clarify a few people on here. I know not everybody's that mechanically inclined, but that's where I'm at with mine. I'm gonna wait, put some miles on it, maybe check the compression myself. If it's within that 66 to 108 range, I'm not even gonna worry about it. So, all right, guys, that's it for now. My next video might be to put my exhaust on. I got some cool little LED pod lights I just picked up from Amazon. I'm waiting for a bracket to come for those, but that'll be my next steps. And waiting for a few other things. But that'll be it for now, guys. Thanks a lot. Later.